Well, Robert Earl Dean, we got a real good one today.
Oh, yes, we
It's
do.
been a minute since we done heard from our sister.
Yes.
She last time I seen her, she was in San Diego, California, and we just haven't seen her in a minute. So
Right.
we just so happy to see. You know how they say, black don't crack.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Some people just keep looking younger and younger every time you see them.
Every time you see him. That's right.
Man,
She looks fabulous.
who do we got with us today?
This minstrel here
Uh-huh.
has been captivating us with her worship and with her funk because she's written for some of the best singers like Karen Clark Sheard, and she's written for so many others beside herself.
Yes,
she's
yes.
worked with Israel.
Uh-huh.
This lady needs no introduction, really.
Yes, yes,
but
yes.
since we are here to introduce her,
But
I want to present to you all
uh-huh.
our sister from another
Yes.
mister,
Yes,
Miss
yes.
Martha Munizzi. Welcome to the Wake Up Morning Show.
Hey, it's good to be with you guys. Good morning.
Good morning. We are
good
so
morning.
excited to see your smiling face. You look younger every time.
Thank you. I don't know. It's good makeup. I don't know.
Yeah.
Good
It's
makeup.
it's the Jesus in you.
It is. There you go. Let's give him all the credit. for
Robert,
sure.
the system saying stop hollering in the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just excited.
You excited? Okay, because the system like saying, why is he hollering in the mic? You know what I'm saying?
Praise God, thanks.
It's like the internet system is like, "Er?"
Right.
Yeah.
Well, praise God. We're excited to have Miss
I'm
Martha
excited. I
on.
probably will start hollering too, so it's good to know that ahead of time.
Right, right.
Oh no, you're doing fabulous, darling. God bless you, sister. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you guys for having me on. This is exciting.
Yes,
We're glad
yes,
to
yes.
have
So,
you. Yes.
so we're just gonna start off. I have a beef with everybody.
You always got to be.
And so I'm gonna start off with my beef with you and
Okay.
everything. I know you have been working. I know that you have been doing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yes.
I'm just trying to catch up with you right now. So enlighten me on where and what you have been doing for a minute now.
Oh, I just took a really long vacation.
Right.
No, actually, my husband and I, we traveled for almost 15 years.
Right.
And great, just amazing doors open. And we just started feeling that God was doing something more in us. There was something else. And so we started really praying about pastoring a church. And so right before that, I kind of stopped traveling as much, and I didn't do a record because I wanted to make sure my kids were, it's been almost 10 years
Wow.
that I've released a record.
Right.
That my kids at the time were teenagers. I wanted to make sure that they were being developed and growing and in their spiritual life, of course, and in their giftings and talents. So we planted in a local church, and so that they could grow and develop. And I was a youth pastor for almost 2 years, just because our church didn't have one. And then so a few years after that, my husband and I felt led to plant our own church. So we've been pastoring for almost 6 years now, and in Orlando, Florida. So that takes a lot of time and energy and effort.
Yes, it does.
And so I really, that's where what our assignment has been for these last few years. It's very exciting, and now it's time for music. So here we are.
One of the things that I love about people that are in their calling is that wherever the Lord guides you or wherever he leads you, you go. Some people have been like, well, I can't leave music right now because I'm in my season. But you said, look, my husband and I, you know what I'm saying? You were to say two folks got together,
Right.
And y'all made a decision not only for the betterment of ministry, but the betterment of your first ministry, your family. You know what I'm saying? And now God is saying, it's time to get back out there, and folks are sitting up there like, Martha, they all excited.
Right.
So even though it's been 10 years, people are still ready to hear more from you. How does that make you feel that even though you took this time to do what you did, that people still are desiring to hear something from you?
It is, it's humbling and it's amazing. It's exciting. And I've learned, walking with the Lord for as long as I have, whatever you feel like you're giving up for God or sacrificing for God, it's never a sacrifice. He always gives you so much more than you ever gave.
That's right.
And so that's kind of what I'm experiencing in this season. The excitement from people, the record's doing well, the feedback we're getting, people again excited that we've got a new record and that there's new songs. But even more than that, because we took that season off to make sure our kids were rooted and planted and anchored and growing and developing, now they are a big part of this record. My daughters, Nicole and Danielle, They co-wrote,
Wow.
wrote some of the songs. They left me out of a couple of them. I was a little mad about that. I'm just kidding. But they were like, we have a song and you're singing it. And I was like, I just went to the bathroom for 5 minutes.
Right.
But we wrote together, co-wrote together, and they perform on this record. So that to me is the greatest blessing of all. And so that now that I'm back out there, people aren't just hearing me, they're hearing my children, my daughters. So that's been exciting. And the feedback from that has been amazing.
I think it's awesome that you took time for your family, for one, and for two, that you still kept doing things. I see that your husband and yourself, you guys have been doing music for years. You were in a group together called Testament. So he understands your ministry as well.
Okay, first of all, that's called deep research. I'm not sure how you found that. That's amazing. No one has ever brought that band up in any interview I have done in 15 years. So kudos.
Bless you.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, that was like right after we got married, we started this little band with family members. And we thought we were so cool, and it was called Testament, not New Testament, not Old Testament, just Testament.
Yeah.
We made one little cassette tape with some songs we wrote, and then everybody moved on. And so it was just my husband and I going, well, we have this calling, we have this desire. What are we going to do? And we just kept moving forward. And everybody else did other things, but here we are, still standing all these years later. So, but Testament is where it all began. But no one should Google it. Don't look for it. It's not. It's just needs to be in the past.
Well, here's one of the questions I have, and this is probably a question for your husband, but you might be able to answer it for him. Being that I am a record executive who has a wife that is an artist, how does he handle not only now having his beautiful wife out there ministering around the world, but his two daughters now involved? How does he handle what would I call it, the male suitors that will come knocking because they see his beautiful daughters?
That's a great question. And he is a Sicilian. He's Italian, 100%. He's ready. But, he's also, Italians are funny. They're protective, but then they want their daughters married and having babies and all that stuff.
Right.
He's already given them a little bit of the speech, and he's super protective, that's for sure. I have to say, they do have to date. You have to let them go on dates.
Right.
But let me tell you, he's our biggest fan. I'm telling you, he sits on that front row because he's a musician too. So for years, he was my musical director. He ran our ministry. I mean, he did all of the travel. He did all of it. So he loved doing that. It was a big part of what he's doing. And now he's starting to do that again a little bit because we're starting to travel a little bit more. But he sits on that front row, whether he's playing or not, and he just beams looking at his family. And I get so many comments. People will say, I watched your husband the whole concert and he couldn't stop smiling. So that's just a huge blessing.
Yeah. I think it's amazing how God chose you two for each other, because he knew the path that you both were going to be on. By him being a musician, he understands how this industry, works, and he's able to chill and still be confident in what God has given him, being your husband. And
he's that's a great point, because he is very confident. He's not really an upfront person. He doesn't really like being on stage. He'll do it if he has to. But he loves the background because that's really the way he's wired. He loves the details and making sure everything's in their place. All the coordination has been done. He loves all of that. So God really did put us together. And I just encourage anybody watching, marriage is not easy. It is hard. It has, great seasons. It has hard seasons. But make sure that you marry somebody, if you're a female, that has vision for you.
Wow.
And it doesn't have to be this grand, giant vision, but they have a vision for you. And my husband had a vision for our lives. And again, it was small back then, but it was clear. And we knew that God had called us to ministry. We knew that God had called us to be faithful in our church. And that was not a non-negotiable. And it was vision. And so that vision has developed and grown through the years. But that's how I knew he would be somebody I should even consider marrying, because of the vision that he had for us as a married couple. Before we had kids, before we had done anything, we were just little kids, really, in our 20s. So I don't know why I wanted to share that with whoever's watching.
Well, I want to say this. This is my little sidebar, and then I'm going to ask a serious question. But comment from the Facebook feed. It's like, I love her wall behind her. So
art.
So everybody's loving your little setting right now.
Thank you.
So all the interior decorators are like saying thumbs up. So,
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's
so
awesome.
here's my question to you. When did you know that you had the gifting, and when did you start on this musical journey?
I've been singing my whole life. So
Mm-hmm.
it didn't really wake up inside of me that it was supposed to be a gift that I could utilize to lead people into worship until I was in my late teens. I didn't realize it. And I just wanted to make money. I could sing and I was not a 9 to 5er and I was a creative and all I wanted to do was just pay my bills
Right.
and whatever that took. And I just wanted to make it as simple as possible. And so I'd sang out at Disney. I'd sang at different, out at Hollywood studios. I had, I was part of the street characters out there. I had a lot of fun in my early 20s and I led worship a little bit at my church, and then one day it was like I had this awakening in a service, and Don Moen back in the day, Integrity Music, came to our church and led worship, and the presence of God was so strong. I knew I needed to shift. I couldn't just be somebody who sang for money. I wanted to lead people. I wanted that experience.
Yes.
I wanted that for myself, that spiritual moment in God where I just felt overwhelmed by his presence. I wanted that every time I opened my mouth, no matter what it took.
Wow.
And that was kind of like that awakening in me in my late teens, probably early, 18 or 16, 17, 18. And I knew in those years, I've got to give this back to the Lord. And so that's what I did. I got really involved in my local church. I met my husband. He was involved in our church. And then we just took off from there. And so, early on, I knew I didn't know what God was going to do, but I knew what I wanted God to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I had desires of God. And I remember I'd go to Amy Grant concert and I'd be mad the whole time, because I'm thinking, I want to do that. And I don't know how.
Right.
Then I went to Fred Hammond concert and I cried the whole time because I thought, okay, now I have seen the future, but I'm dreaming too big. This is impossible. I will never be like that. I don't know how to get I don't know what to do. I don't know anybody that could even put me on the path to getting to a place where I could do what Fred Hammond does.
Right.
Not that I could ever do what Fred Hammond does, but it was kind of that vision I could see of what could be. And it was so deep in my heart, I didn't realize that God had called me to that. And then the doors just over time just began to open, and God just did this incredible, opened up this incredible path for me. And my husband and I worked really hard. It wasn't like we just sat around and doors flew open. We worked hard and we sowed seed, and then the doors opened. But it's been a progressive situation. It's a process. You walk through this season, and then God increases your desires and opens up the door for the next season.
Right.
And you just continue to move like that. And that's just moving and letting God process you and knowing that your steps are ordered by God.
So here's my big question. The big question is that you have a tremendous duality, a big crossover that no matter where you're at, people receive you, and nothing seems to be faked or forced. How do you feel being able to just really flow through any type of worship experience?
I just feel like that's just God. That's just God. And when God anoints something, it doesn't always make sense, or we can't always figure it out. It just is. And that's what I've learned. My mother would just say the one word, grace.
Yes.
God's graced you. There's just grace for it. And I can't explain it. I'm grateful for it. But I know that's what it is. As the doors open for me, and to be able to walk into some of the churches and ministries and conferences that I have been able to walk into, being the only non-African American, however, Caucasian white person, which I don't feel that.
Wait a minute, with a Sicilian last name.
Well, yes, Munizzi kind of helps me because it's Italian. So,
Right.
But it's wild to me. Actually, the older I get, the more in awe I am of the doors that and is using the music as a bridge. But it's something that I've realized, and I've never gotten away from this, and I see it more and more, is that when it's spirit led, when it's God, it draws worshipers.
Yes, it does.
And heaven is diverse.
Yes, come on.
You better get ready for diversity, because heaven's going to be very diverse.
Yes, ma'am.
But God's voice and God's presence draws diversity. And so that's what, you're not being drawn to me. I'm hoping that it's the presence of God that you're
Right.
drawn to, and everything else just falls away.
Well, that's what happens when you're in position to where God uses you and you're available. A lot of
right.
times we're not obedient.
Yeah.
And obedience, in your obedience, God opens doors. And I like how you talked about serving. A lot of people in these days want to be big stars, and they see all the TV stuff, but they don't know that your groundwork is in your local church,
That's right.
developing, learning how to sing 3-part harmony, learning how to follow directions, learning how to be obedient to the pastor and his leadership. I think that's very, very important. And I want to say, where is our sister Mary? That's a singing person as well. She has a twin sister, you guys, identical.
I do. I have an identical twin sister. I should have made her come in here. She preached at our church yesterday, and we were up till like 3 a.m. talking. We were talking. We can't stop talking.
Right.
So, but she's with my mom, but I should have had her come on. She's amazing. I've learned so much from her. We're best friends. We're sisters. We're so connected in so many ways, spiritually,
Right.
in so many ways. I'm so grateful for her. And she, I was doing records and telling her, she and her husband pastor a church in Miami for almost 25 years. And I told her years ago, I said, you need to do a record. Your songs need to get out here too.
Right.
So she always credits me. She said, I probably wouldn't have even put my music out had you not really pushed me in the beginning. And it's never been competition.
Right.
It's never been a competition. In my mind, we need every anointed voice, every anointed song.
For the kingdom,
we need
yes.
everything we can to drive the kingdom
Yes.
purpose. So it's not about competition. And so she's got some great records out there too.
She can sing. And you know what? I see you doing a duet with my friend Eddie James. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I love Eddie James.
You guys should do something together.
Hey, you say it, you speak it out. I'll do it. I love Eddie. He's powerful. He's amazing.
Can I tell him that I spoke to you today and you're interested?
Of course you can. He's
Yes, ma'am.
powerful.
Her husband in the background said, "Wait a minute, don't make no deals. I do the deals." so I would take you all the way back, because I think inquiring minds want to know. Because I don't believe everybody knows that you were a twin, an identical twin.
Identical.
So you grew up in Florida, right?
Yes.
So how it was growing up with an identical twin, and how you guys both, and the key thing, y'all both wound up in ministry. That's crazy.
It is. They both have been pastors.
No, it is. I have to credit my mother. Well, my dad, it was a pastor, songwriter, singer, musician. His name was John Stallings. He passed away almost 2 years ago. And he won a Dove Award for a song, 1977, The Doves. He won for Song of the Year.
Wow.
A song called Learning to Lean on Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people think that that's a hymn, but my dad wrote that song in the late 70s, and then he won the Song of the Year for it. So some of those roots kind of run deep, but my parents had us growing up in church. And I laugh when you said surfing, because we did love the beach growing up, but we went to Disney a lot. That's kind of what we did. We were at Disney riding, roller coasters a lot, but church was it. We went to church. We never missed. If we were sick, we went to church, because my parents either pastored or we were traveling. I mean, at 8 years old, Mary and I both, we had chicken pox and had to go to church. So I mean, my mother was like, I'll put you in the office, shut the door and lock it. Don't come out.
Right.
I got to go play the organ. I mean, it was just my life is church and sacrificing, or what seems like sacrifice, for serving God and serving God's people in worshiping. And, and we grew up, somebody had to clean the toilets right here. Somebody had to run the kids ministry, 12 years old. I should have been in the kids ministry,
Right.
but I was not in the kids ministry. I mean, we grew up cutting our teeth in full-time ministry as volunteers. And that's just my husband too. And that's kind of the path that we've been on. And the conversation that I'm having in my house right now with my young adult family members is that whatever you give up for God, it's called pressed down, shaken together, running over.
Come on.
It comes back it multiplied.
Yes.
Multiplied.
Yes.
And it feels like I can't take one more, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing it. But if you'll just stay where God's put you and stay planted and keep serving, you will be amazed. Don't uproot right before the blessing and the harvest comes. because and you know that because you're annoyed by little things that you need to just let go.
Right.
You know, and when I've learned to say, okay, that's my flesh, that's just me being tired, I need to learn to continue to serve. It's amazing. I'm telling you, every door that's opened in the last 15, 20 years, I can take it back to honestly a moment when I clean toilets, or when I vacuum the sanctuary, and I'm crying saying, God, please, I just need you. I need your presence. And God gave me a song because of who you are.
Wow.
You know, in the most insignificant moments when I'm just serving God's people, God always, that's what the Bible says. He's coming back to repay those who have served him. That's what Revelation says.
Wow.
So get ready. There's a reward in it.
You know, one of the things, the reason why I wanted to just kind of delve back into your background is because so many artists see where you're at now, and they think that there was this easy road that you just appeared, but many times people don't know the labor that has come to the reward. And I think it's very important when, as a artist, or those young artists that are coming up, you have to notice that she served not just when she became an adult, but this has been a life journey for her and for her family. And, you know, always, and this is the big thing, Martha, when people talk about church hurt. You know, I was a PK kid, and I was this and I was that, and they dwell in the church hurt versus in the church victory.
Come on.
Can you share a little bit about that, as being a PK kid and growing up with musicians and everything? Could you share a little bit about that?
You know, this is my lane right now. I love this conversation because this is literally, I'm doing a podcast later today, and we're going to be talking about this because I just believe in my heart that people are being derailed by the language of our culture, that it's if everything is right for me, if I get what I am worth, then I can serve, or then I can continue to work, instead of it's backwards in the kingdom. And we say church hurt, and I know there's Instagram platforms about, you know, people that have been hurt in church, and they love to go and post about all their church hurt, but really, you know, the church didn't hurt you, people did.
Come on.
And this is where we can get it twisted, is that we'll stay out of church and actually blame God for something that somebody else did. And and I've grown up with that. I understand it. I know what it's like being in a community of people and realizing they're imperfect. You know, there are liars in church too. There are cheaters in church too.
Yes.
There are manipulators in church too. But what it's causing all of us to do, there's still more amazing people who love, you know, to be in community and to connect with others and grow. And I just believe that until we're in community and recognize that there are imperfect people there, but until we're in community, there are a plan of God, a design of God that will go unfulfilled until we are serving in a church.
Yes.
There are there's destinies and plans that God has for us that will go unfulfilled, because that is a season that we as believers submit ourselves to, a season. But most of us don't want to serve Saul like David did. We don't want to have to be chased. You know, I mean, when you think about it, no one has ever experienced what David experienced, just trying to be king.
Right.
He did nothing wrong but trying to serve the king and worship and lead him in worship, and bring him into God's presence so that the demonic spirits could flee. But Saul, the Bible says that God turned Saul's heart against David. So sometimes God will use people around us that seems like they're oppressing us, or might seem like they're persecuting us or hurting us, to really put us in a place where we stop depending on them and we start depending on God. And our relationship and it is not, you know, to God is through a person. It's God wants to get us to a place where he can promote us, but he wants us to be able to hear him.
Yes.
So sometimes he'll cause people to almost turn on us. I know that sounds crazy, but this is what I've learned. Keep your eyes on Jesus and keep serving. Don't allow it's not even, we want to call things when somebody hurts our feelings that's an offense. That's just unforgiveness. We need to let those things go.
Yes.
Overlook.
Yes.
Your pastor's not perfect. Believe me, we've unintentionally, is that the right? Without intention, hurt people. And it really was, they had a different agenda, and we had the culture of our church of we were going this direction, they wanted to go that direction, and we didn't know it. And so that's how things can go the wrong direction.
Right.
But at the same time, you've got to have people that see your humanity.
Yes.
When you want to, you got to find the leaders in your life that you say, I have grace for their human side.
Come on.
I can overlook when they're not perfect.
Yes.
There's something about it that I can go, you know what? That hurt a little bit, but I love them anyway. I make a choice to love them anyway.
Yes.
And if not, we're going to be just like the world.
Come on.
We're going to be isolated, and we're not going to have community. And that's the beautiful thing about the church, is that we grow together in a community, and then we serve. I think about that song, even when I can't see it, you're working.
Yes.
I love to talk about how God is working for us, and
Yes.
he is. But guess what? No matter what I go through, I'm working. I'm serving.
Yes.
I never stop. I never stop serving. That's
Yes.
my.
Yes. Come on.
It's working, and I never stop serving. And I've got to overlook. I've got to grow up. I've got to spiritually mature, and I've got to stay planted so that God can do something greater in my life.
Right. And we got to keep our focus on what the focus should be on.
Right.
We get so
It's
caught
not
up
me.
looking for love and being accepted, even in the
Right.
church. And like I tell people, we can blame the church for everything, but you go to work with people. Are you going to stop working?
That's right.
No, we're not. So we got to keep pushing. My last
right.
thing before we let you go, because we know you have a busy day. Thank you for putting your twist on Forever You're My King. Our friend James Mitchell wrote that. And him and I, we talked about that song and about you doing it.
Listen, he is such a great writer, and that song, I need to get that song back out. We need to start singing that song on Sundays, because that song
Powerful.
I love songs that shut everything else out.
Come
and
on.
It's just a love song to Jesus. And that's what we need right now.
Yes.
We need more songs. It's not about us. It's not about, I love the blessing of God. My record, this new record, is all about, these are the best days. God's doing something new.
Right.
Let's praise, let's worship, let's trust him.
Yes.
But I love to shut the world out and just go in and say, God, forever, I love you forever.
Yes.
You're worthy. You're my king. That's what I love about that song.
Wow.
So here's before you introduce the record and tell everybody how they can find you, I'm going to ask a favor, and
Okay.
and it's a simple favor. When you have time again, could we get you and your daughters on for an interview, just to have this powerful unit together? I would love to have an interview with your daughters and you.
And we want
I
Mary
would
too.
love that. Let's totally set that up soon. That would be, and they would love it too. They would love that. Let's
Wow.
do it.
Amber Shaw, my girl, you on
We'll
here.
make it happen.
She's on here.
Yes. So how can they find you? How can they connect with you? And then introduce the song.
Okay. Well, what song are we doing?
Glorious 2.0.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, you can get our brand new CD our album, Best Days. We do have the hard copy too. You
Right.
can order that on our website. Best Days is out, and you can get it wherever music is streaming right now, Apple, Spotify, everywhere. Just Google it, you'll find it. And I'm really, really excited about this record. It is live. It is kind of raw. We didn't make a whole lot of changes.
Good.
We just went for it, and
Good.
whatever God spoke through us, so if you hear a glitch or you hear a call or whatever, it's like we just left it. We didn't want to perfect it at all. We just wanted it to be really raw. And my daughters are on this, and my producer David Outing, brilliant genius producer. He co-wrote the songs with us and produced this record. And I can't wait for you to hear it. It's prophetic. There is preaching on it. There's exhortation on it. It's fun. It's a celebration. It's going to take you deep in the presence of God. So you want to get this record. And then Glorious 2.0 is a nod to my first song, Glorious, which I think a lot of people know. But it's just a song that's a declaration of, I'm going to win because God says so.
Yes.
And that's what we stand on, and we believe we're already winners. We've already won the battle.
Yes.
God already won it for us through his son, Jesus. And so now we just have to celebrate our way all the way to victory. And that's what Glorious 2.0 is all about. So get ready to dance and sing, and you win.
All right.
Thank you though for keeping it raw. We've gotten so professional that we've edited and we've gone in and stacked the tracks too much. I like the authentic gospel where you felt the presence of God and you heard the in the record
Right.
because you felt like you were there. We've gotten
Exactly.
too clean and polished, so thank you for that.
Well, Robert, I'll be mad. I'll be mad sometimes because there's always two people in the audience that's trying to get on the album, and they be like,
Yeah.
"Hallelujah!"
But that's okay. Let them praise him.
I'll be like saying, "Edit that one. She's not
No.
gonna just all be up in my album."
Yeah,
like to keep
that
it-
happened a
keep it
little
light.
bit. Yes, that
Right.
it always happens.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, you have been blessed to hear the
Yes.
wonderful voice of our sister.
Yes.
Now you're going to hear this new song, Glorious 2.0, Robert Earl Dean.
This is the one and only, the only one, our sister, Miss Martha Munizzi.
Right here on GOD Radio 1.
.com.